This is an old, neglected, poorly painted 1920s or 1930s Art Deco vanity, found on Facebook Marketplace for $50. Removing all this pink paint and caked-on modern decoupage should be satisfying, but there's a bigger challenge with this project that I've not tried before. What drew me to this piece was what I think might be hiding under these unique drawer pulls. One look at this thing, and the damage is obvious, even to the untrained eye. But beneath this faded pink mess is a piece that once stood proudly in someone's home, an antique Art Deco vanity with a new story to tell. My name is Barry, and it's good to be with you again. You might already be ahead of me if you're thinking that very few people want these anymore. These vanities usually sit too low for practical daily use, and they often take up too much space in most bedrooms. I lean towards the side of purists as it relates to restoring old furniture. But today, I think the best chance this piece has to survive another 100 years is to try and split these two ends into useful nightstands. I'll first brush on a paint stripper to several sections to first see if what's underneath can actually be salvaged. If the natural wood grain hiding beneath is pleasing to the eyes, then I'll proceed with the disassembly. It's not uncommon to see decoupage on a modern makeover like this, but what made me nervous was how it was secured, and if it would do significant damage when trying to remove it. So far, the paint stripper has no effect. Removing the paint from the drawer pulls proved to be tedious work, but I'm convinced the outcome will be one of the most rewarding parts of this project. I believe the accent pieces are just plated steel since they are magnetic, so I think I'll first try to gently remove the paint by soaking them in near boiling vinegar. I'll remove most of the paint from the vanity with No. 2 steel wool, some fine brass brushes, this afterwash product, and shop rags. The beginning of every project is usually overwhelming with how much paint there is to actually remove, but every new restoration starts with that first step. For some, it's finding that neglected furniture in the thrift store. For others, it starts with a desire to find a challenging project. Over the years, I've learned, sometimes the hard way, that motivation can be a driving force to get started, but with a project this big, I can confidently say that motivation won't be enough to carry me through. Something this involved requires dedication. Thankfully, with the plated hardware, a toothbrush and fine brass brush removed most of the paint without removing the plating. Although pleased, I still decided to take the risk and remove what paint remained with the fine wire wheel on the benchtop buffer. There were just two small spots where I removed the plating by using this method. These accent pieces are now polished and ready to be coated with lacquer for brass. I was afraid to peel back this top layer aggressively because it first appeared as though it was pulling off the thin layer of veneer with it. So with the heat gun, I gently began peeling it back. This came off much easier than expected, and I think it just pulled off the original protective coat of lacquer with it. I don't really know, but I'm pleased with the results. Now begins the part that I've actually never tried before, and that is completely disassembling this piece and trying to create 2 nightstands out of this vanity. Compared to others that I've seen, this one doesn't look like it's going to be too difficult. Here's something I don't think I've ever done in a video before, but I thought some of you might find it interesting. I order a lot of vintage and antique collectibles online, some for resale and some for my own collections. I just got a new shipment today, but I don't actually remember what the items are in these boxes, so I thought it'd be fun to open some of these with you. I hope you enjoy some of these items while I share with you today's sponsor, ZocDoc. The amount of time it takes to restore each piece of furniture certainly varies, but I do my best to write out a detailed estimate, not only for the project, but also for the filming and the editing. I wonder how many of you plan out some of your own projects. I'm the type of person that tries to plan out every hour of the day in the workshop. It's really the only way that I can keep up with all the different restoration projects. It often feels like there's no time in the middle of the week to schedule important things like doctor visits, chiropractor adjustments, and other medical appointments. I've struggled recently with back injuries related to lifting heavy furniture, and I've been putting off certain medical appointments that are necessary to make sure that I stay healthy. With a busy schedule, ZocDoc makes it easy to schedule appointments that I'd otherwise likely overlook. It's why I'm thrilled to partner again with today's sponsor, ZocDoc. ZocDoc is a completely free platform that makes scheduling all your medical appointments without the hassle of all the phone calls and other scheduling issues. ZocDoc lets you search and compare in-network doctors right from your phone. You can read reviews from real patients, see the doctor's calendar openings, and instantly book a visit virtually or in person, often within 24 to 72 hours. No more waiting months just to get that basic checkup. Taking care of your health just got easier and much more efficient. So head over to ZocDoc.com/MadCityModern to get started and check that appointment off your to-do list. Thanks ZocDoc for making this restoration possible and for helping us all take better care of our health. Because this piece is nearly 100 years old, everything is secured with nails, so I'll remove the nails from the back panels, then detach the middle section with a rubber mallet. With all the pieces disassembled the way I want them to be for now, I can continue removing the paint, and this time I'll be able to remove the paint from those otherwise hard to reach areas. With the paint removed, I can see several areas where the thin veneer has chipped off completely, but I expected this, and I'll first mix this 2-part epoxy and add some wax wash remover to prolong the dry time while I work this epoxy into the voids. While the epoxy dries, I'll take this opportunity to glue up some of the loose dovetail joints on these large drawers. Unfortunately, the previous owner painted the sides and insides of all the drawers. I don't plan to resell this furniture once refinished, so I need to decide where to draw the line. I decided to scuff all the painted surfaces, then paint on a new, fresh layer of black paint. There are plenty of signs that this mass-produced furniture was never perfect, even from the factory, and now it has nearly 100 years of imperfections from normal wear and tear. But still, with each step, I'm going to do my best to make things a little better, to hopefully give these new nightstands 100 more years. For some parts of these new nightstands, I can finally start sanding. I'll use 150 grit pads first, using the SurfPrep 3x4 electric sander. During this step, I'll also use a hand sanding pad and some small scrapers. This is finally when I can start to see the beautiful wood grain come to life once again. The small scrapers and detailed dental tools are often perfect for removing any paint that remains, especially in the grooves of these vertical fluted pilasters on the front face. The raw lumber under these old finishes will never look perfect again, but most of this will be masked and blended with stain and several coats of lacquer. These small contoured sanding blocks are intended for auto body work, but also work well for the areas I can't reach with the electric sanders. What really helps with efficient sanding is these SurfPrep sanding pads. They conform to the profile of the furniture piece while protecting it from damage. The epoxy repairs on the front faces of the drawers are now dry and sanded to 320 grit. I figured it might be easiest to sand the drawer pulls by securing them to scrap wood, and this time it worked well. There is some discoloration in the veneer where the cross-section of the vanity was once attached. I suppose that's just a small downside to repurposing old furniture like this. This may come out, but I'll move on to cutting small pieces to fill the voids where the cross-section was once attached. While I glue these pieces in place, I thought you might enjoy meeting the new neighbor, Ruby. I didn't make any effort to match the species or the grain patterns for these new pieces, but they will be concealed later, and I'm pleased with the results for now. One of the riskiest sections to sand is the waterfall style where the veneer wraps around the edge. For this, I'll use a few sanding pads, sanding gently by hand so I don't pass through the veneer. With the entire interior scuff sanded and the exterior fully sanded to 220 grit, I can now reattach the tops to these new nightstands. I now need to match the profile where the cross section was once attached to both sides. For this, I realized I can just cut part of the old cross section at a 45 and glue the new pieces in place. This isn't the best saw for the job, and its condition isn't great, but I do enjoy using it from time to time. I don't actually do much woodworking, so believe it or not, this is actually one of the safest and most accurate saws I have in the shop for this task. I then passed the repairs with epoxy filler, hoping to remove about 95% of this during one of the next steps. Stain colors are mostly a matter of personal preference, and I don't think you could have gone wrong with a number of different colors for this furniture. I chose a light walnut oil-based penetrating stain, and I'll apply it with a cotton rag. In my opinion, this is enough color to mask some of the imperfections, while staying light enough to showcase the gorgeous, contrasting wood species used for this Art Deco piece. Once stained, I noticed some areas where I had to come back and brush out more paint using a fine brass brush. Once the stain was dry, I sealed all the pieces with a coat of lacquer sealer using the HVLP sprayer. I mixed in some blush retarder to slow down the dry time, allowing moisture to escape. After the first coat of sealer, I began color matching all the damaged areas using lacquer sealer and these blend-all powders. I do my best to match the lightest colors first for the base, then finish with the darkest color for the final layer. For the last few steps, I'll gently sand the surfaces with a 320 grit sanding pad, clean with wax wash remover, and spray with a final coat of clear satin lacquer. Whenever possible, I do my best to bring final project pieces out into the natural light, mostly to learn where I can do better next time. As is the case with almost every project, there were things I wish I had done better, but quite surprised at how well repurposing a poorly painted vanity actually turned out. I'll be hanging on to these for now, because they're very special, for reasons I hope to share one day, when the time is right. My name is Barry, and thanks for joining me. Goodbye for now.